You went to Harvard and you dropped out. Have you ever thought how your life could be better off if you had gotten your Harvard degree?
Well, I'm a weird dropout because I take college courses all the time. I love learning company courses and things, so I loved being a student. And there were smart people around, and you know, they fed you and they gave you these nice grades that made you feel smart. So I feel it was unfortunate that I didn't get to stay there, but I don't think I missed any knowledge because, you know, whatever I needed to learn, I was still in a learning mode.
I got I started working at this video store, was pretty much what you're talking about around that time, and it was great at first because I'd always hated day jobs and stuff, and so I got a day job and it ended up being pretty good. But admittedly, I was there for 5 years. At a certain point, it was a narcotic. All right, I didn't have to keep pursuing my dreams because, you know, it's not what I want to do, but it's sort of kind of close. And if I didn't have an artist soul burning in me, I could have made myself happy with that. I could, if I didn't have an artist soul burning to get out, I could have, you know, walked backwards a couple steps and just done that. And that would have been a fulfilling, well, to anybody else, it would have been a fulfilling life. It wouldn't have been for me because I would have known I would have had something to say that I didn't get a chance to say. But it did put me to sleep for a while. And I've always just thought, I mean, what really got everything kind of truly going for me, you could point out a lot of different things, but the bottom line is the fact that I realized that even the group of people I hung around with, they were all great fellas and great gals. But, you know, it was easy for me to think that I was doing a lot because I was doing more to try to move myself forward than they were. But, you know, that's not, okay, I'm a big fish in a puddle. So what? All right, they're not doing anything. All right, so yeah, I'm doing more than them. But I realized that actually I need to get my ass out to Hollywood and meet other people who are, you know, like in my category or working a little higher, and I should be the weakest link in my chain that I have, and that'll make me be stronger. It'll make me run faster. I mean, like an analogy I've always used is, all right, if you run the 100-yard dash with people that can't run as fast as you, yeah, you'll win, hands down, you know that. But if you run with people much faster than you, all right, yeah, you might come in last every single time, but your time will be better because they're making you run all the faster. They're making you dig down just a little bit more. It doesn't matter that you won, your time is faster. And that's what I knew I had to do. I had to get out of Loserville and throw myself into a place where, like...
Did you get intimidated by roles? Do you ever think, I'm not sure I can do it? Or is that a turn on?
I think fear is a motivator. I think I'm it doesn't matter what role, just getting in front of that camera is a little bit intimidating. And there's always that, I feed from those butterflies, you know, the first day in school or, you know, right before tip-off, being on stage, giving a speech to an audience or whatever. Those butterflies, I need them. I need to, and it doesn't matter what role it is, there's always this sense of, fear might not be the right word, but there is an element of fear that motivates.
Are you particularly ambitious, or you just wanted to be interested in your work?
No, I'm ambitious by nature. It is what it is. You know, failure is a part of the process, but I like success. I like getting things done. And it's something that has been a positive impact on my life. And going towards a goal and achieving it, there's nothing like it. So,
should you keep on putting the bar further out for yourself, or?
Yeah, definitely. Why would I be doing back-to-back interviews, going on planes all the time, and you know, it's a harsh life. But no, it's a commitment. It's a commitment. You know, doing this is a commitment. And I just feel like sometimes you don't want to do it, and what pulls you through is ambition and wanting to achieve something, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So do you want to be the biggest movie star in the world, or do you want to...
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to do me, and however you guys want to define it, you can define it for whatever it is, but I want to do me for sure, and I just want to be the best that I can be. And I want to inspire other people to do what they want to do with their lives, and regardless of what it is, just be the best you can be.
I just want people to understand this. You don't need to love every second of every day, okay? You don't need to love it. You don't even need to like it. I mean, I get sick. I was at the Pentagon talking to a bunch of troops in transition, and everybody was up there. The speakers were telling them, do what you love when you get back in transition. You've served us in Afghanistan. Come back. Find what you love. And I'm like, dude, that's bullshit. Oh, that's crazy. What are y'all doing, man? Look, you need to do what it takes, whatever it takes to take care of your family today. Most of what you and I have to do every day, we don't love. I mean, I start my day like this, okay? I start my day like, man, I don't even know if I want to get up this morning. Dude, I don't want to get up, okay? Oh my God, Brian, I don't want to get up today, dude. I want to sleep in. My little 6-year-old comes and jumps in. She plays. I'm like, I just want to stay in here and just love on her all day. But you know what? I'm like, oh, I got to drive to work. I got to show up. And this is where the flow happens. When you push through the grind and like, okay, I'm going to show up anyway. And then all of a sudden, and this is where I agree, I start creating, I start doing my deal. I start finding out who I really am. I start getting to exercise my creativity. And then I'm like, oh, dude, that's what I'm here for. I'm in my purpose now.
You like competition?
Sure. Imagine that you are a athlete that runs 100 meters. You will run alone? Competition makes you better. You need to have competition and also the most important international reference for whatever you do. You need to have the highest reference to make you a good job. We are in 18 countries today, and we have competition everywhere. I don't think that there is now a telecommunication service in any place, I don't know North Korea, no, including North Korea, that there is no competition.
There's no monopoly.
That until I understand, there is competition everywhere.
You will have many opportunities to reinvent yourself, and so so I think it's worthwhile taking risks and trying to do something you're really excited by. And if the first attempt you don't do it, you can try again, and things tend to work out in the long run. In Silicon Valley, part of the reason so many people start up a company is, starting up a company and even having failed, you can wear it like a badge of honor, right? And I think that's important. Culturally, risk is rewarded. I remember when I started working at Google, if I went and people were discussing ideas, the other people who heard the ideas try to build on those ideas. They encourage you. So it's a culture of optimism. It's a culture of risk taking, and I think that's really important.
Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. If I had to know everything about connecting people before I got started, I never would have built Facebook. Movies and pop culture just get this all wrong. The idea of a single eureka moment is a dangerous lie. It makes us feel inadequate because we feel like we haven't had ours yet. And it prevents people with seeds of good ideas from ever getting started in the first place.
Who works harder, the people at eBay or the people at Alibaba?
Sometimes you not only have to work hard, you have to work smart.
So would you say you work smarter than eBay? I'd have to say yes, right?
Well, so far.
Yeah, so far. Okay.
Because I think, we are pretty lucky people. And people say, you work very hard. True, in this world, there's so many people work very hard. But they're not that. I told my team when we IPO'd, I asked a lot of people sitting there, I say, all of you guys, most of you guys millionaires and so rich. But 15 years ago, who are we? It's so difficult for us to hire people 15 years ago. People who are not that bad. I said, people can still walk on the street. We hire them. Because nobody believes internet. And they join the company. Those people who believe they're smart, they were headhunted to the other company. They set up their own company. Those people, nobody go to headhunting them. They stay. Today they be successful. Very key reasons We insist, we persist, we never give up. We believe the dreams together.
I get up at crazy hours, whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way. When we were talking in London, I was getting up at 3 because I had to be on set by 7. So whatever time my call time is, and I tell this to studios and directors and our producers, whatever time my call time. So my call time is at 7, then you back your clock up 4 hours, and then that's when I get up and I'll train twice. I'll get my cardio in and breakfast, and then I'll go hit the weights. Clanging and banging, we call it. Jack and iron.
But like, what time do you go to bed? I mean, you might shoot really late at night.
I'm averaging, on a movie, I'll average probably about 5 hours of sleep.
You better stay on top of yourself and really measure. Unless people measure themselves, you don't get any better. You cannot succeed unless you are really holding yourself accountable and owning outcomes. Believe me, I've seen plenty of people at Microsoft, various places in the tech industry, brilliant people, who when it came time to execute and actually count success, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. In order to do that, you have to actually know what the goal is. If the goal was to get to 450 million users and then sell to Facebook, WhatsApp did a hell of a job. Right? I mean that. It's a hell of a job at 19 billion, 55 people. That's a hell of a job. But you have to decide, what outcome do you want? Bill Gates was offered $7.5 million to sell all of Microsoft in 1979. It would have been a rich guy if he had taken it. Richer if he didn't, but a rich guy. But even putting that aside, the impact on society wouldn't have been the same. We had discussions with Facebook about buying Facebook, but Zuckerberg knew what he viewed as an outcome that he really desired and was willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears, just like we were. So execution and measurement are hugely important.
When you think about your risk tolerance for failure, how far are you willing to fail?
Well, I mean, unfortunately and fortunately, I failed quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I understand that's actually part of the process of succeeding. I'm not one that really believe in failure. I believe you have setbacks. And, you have to learn from those. You have to learn what are those landmines that can be avoided the next time. What are those pitfalls? And you have to learn from that stuff. And so, I welcome those things. It's a part of life.
But are you prepared to, really fail at something totally new? Like, what if you're just a VC?
Then I'm a VC, and then I work at it, and then I'm not a VC the next year, or, whenever it happens. Listen, my first year in the league on national TV, 18 years old, I shot 5 straight air balls in the playoffs in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
I think my tolerance is pretty high.
Yeah.
I think I'm all right.
Right.
As a child, my parents always told me you could be whatever you want to be. You could do whatever you want to do. And, that office, that position, the highest office on the face of the earth, it was something I heard my parents saying it, but I didn't totally believe it. Yet I went out in the world and I carried myself and I held my head high and I stood there and I looked people in their eyes and I talked to people as if I was deserving of everything that this planet has to offer. So I really want to say to children out there and to people who are watching, Confucius said one time, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. So I want to stand here before you, and as I hold this award, I want to give love to my wife, and I want you to keep in your heart, just know that you can. Know that you can.
Raised on a farm with my grandmother for the first 6 years of my life. I knew somehow that my life would be different and it would be better. I never had a clear-cut vision of what it was I would be doing. I just always felt somehow. I remember absolutely physically feeling it at around 4 years old. I remember standing on the back porch. It was a screened-in porch, and my grandmother was boiling clothes because, at that time, we didn't have washing machines, and so people would, physically boil clothes in a great big iron pot, and she was boiling clothes and poking them down. And I was watching her from the back porch, and I was 4 years old, and I remember thinking, my life won't be like this. My life won't be like this, it will be better. And it wasn't from a place of arrogance, it was just a place of knowing that things could be different for me somehow. I don't know what made me think that.
I want you all to stay true to the most real, most sincere, most authentic parts of yourselves. I want you to ask those basic questions. Who do you want to be? What inspires you? How do you want to give back? And then I want you to take a deep breath and trust yourselves to chart your own course and make your mark on the world. Maybe it feels like you're supposed to go to law school, but what you really want to do is teach little kids. Maybe your parents are expecting you to come back home after you graduate, but you're feeling a pull to travel the world. I want you to listen to those thoughts. I want you to act with both your mind, but also your heart. And no matter what path you choose, I want you to make sure it's you choosing it and not someone else.
Are you surprised how your life has changed?
Yeah.
Because it seems to have changed pretty fast.
Yeah, it has. 2 years ago, I was in my flat, kind of not knowing what was going to happen.
That's extraordinary. Because do you feel like this was always going to happen?
I didn't know, which was kind of what gave me hope, but I knew that I had to end up doing something like this.
But you see, that's what I think for me, that is what determines success. I very much feel like when you know inside you, like, I am born to do this thing. This is what I'm really good at. I don't know what else I'm gonna do. So I might as well put everything I've got behind it.
You have to.
You have to, and not be afraid.
I think that if you have a plan B, you know you have cushions.
You have an out.
You have something to fall back on. I had nothing. You can't fall back on anything. You know, that's what makes you hungry.
It's true.
It really does. And it's made me starving. And I kind of still am. I'm never going to lose that hunger, but I'm just so grateful that, I didn't give up.
We were so hungry and so ready to work that we just kind of ducked our heads and plowed through it and really built the foundation for what would come later. Knowing that you might not get another chance at this. So it was just do it and then keep doing it. I mean, we were as surprised as anybody else when we blew up the way we did. I mean, to this day, I'm like, what? But knowing that it wasn't just a fluke, it wasn't overnight, it took a lot of work, and the fact that we did it the right way. I'm proud of that.
Knowing your strengths and weaknesses and knowing what you enjoy doing. If you look at it as a job, you've already lost. It's not going to be your passion, and you're going to count the hours. If you look at it as something you love to do, and then you know what your strengths are, then you can leverage those strengths in your business and in helping others. And once you recognize your weaknesses, then you can work with people that complement you. I mean, every one of my businesses, I've had a partner who's very anal. Martin Woodall, Todd Wagner, I mean, incredibly anal people, perfectionists, because I'm a slob. I'm a big picture, think about what's around the corner, how's technology going to change things, how can I change, this industry, and, making sure that there's somebody there to dot the I's, cross the T's, and keep me in the baselines. And recognizing my weaknesses is just as important as recognizing my strengths and my core competencies.
It's very important, and I also come back to chess, to learn how to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses. This is in fact the vital part of preparation for a big match and for anything in life. We always try to study our opponents, we always try to study the battlefield, we always try to study all the circumstances surrounding our venture or endeavor, but very often we forget to study ourselves. And this is very important because any choice of a ground for a battle or type of strategy we want to employ depends on our recognition of our strengths and weaknesses. And this is a process of constant reevaluation because life is changing very fast, and our opponents looking at our success, studying it, and trying to be smart and outsmart us eventually. And we can look at the history and just to find a number of situations where the inability to recognize strengths and weaknesses led to an eventual disaster.
You want to get your work ethic so high that people actually admire you. I'm going to ask you a question right now. Do people know you because of your unbelievable work ethic? If you can't answer yes to that, man, you're not going to get in that top 10%. You got to get at the top. People have to know you, not because, oh, he's a good salesman. Oh, he's a good this. Oh, he's an artist. Oh, he's a good pianist. Oh, he writes a great, story. No, dude, people need to know you for one major thing first. He works. He produces. The guy's there every day. The guy's pushing and shoving. Because the truth is, no matter how good your ideas are, how good your art is, or how good your skill set is, if you're not working, man, if you're not vibrating at a frequency that people say, my God, how does that guy do all that? If you're not vibrating at that rate, 10x levels, massive action, tremendous work ethic that's just a muscle now, and it's just a discipline in your life, and it's a normal way that other people think is abnormal. Ryan Seacrest, Tom Cruise, Oprah, Steven Spielberg, Donald Trump, still pumping and working as a billionaire. Look, if you're not working at that level, you're not going to make it. Get your work ethic in, man. It's the American way. Work ethic. Check it out.
Do you ever get anything wrong? What do you do when you make a mistake?
I get everything wrong. It's just that I can't recall it because once it's wrong, I'm moving on to the next thing. Like dwelling on what you f***ed up on is the quickest way for the next thing not to work. Right?
Yep.
So I think I do everything. I mean, you know this. This is a fun thing to say. Some people in the back know this. I was a breakout YouTube star in the first year, 2006. I decided that the right strategy was to leave YouTube completely and go to Vidler because Vidler offered me equity in their company, and I've left an enormous amount of attention. I deviated from my intention thesis to do short-term economics and equity in a company, and I lost. When D-Rock finally came in my life 2 years ago and we started to try to build up my YouTube for the first time, I was sitting on 40,000 followers in a world where I could have had millions if I just stayed the course. So I make mistakes all the time. I'm reorging VaynerMedia every day because it's based on a mistake I made the prior year. I just don't give a fuck about my mistakes. Everybody else cares about your mistakes. If you're worried about your own mistakes, you've already lost.
Be honest with me here. When you study or get work done, how good are you at focusing on that work? And by that I mean, how susceptible are you to distractions that pop up or the temptation to multitask? This is a really important question to ask yourself because a lack of focus, a lack of the ability to concentrate is one of the best ways to waste a lot of the time you dedicate to studying. That's because when you get pulled away from your main task into a distraction or some other task, you're not just wasting the time that it takes to get that distraction done with. There's also something called a cognitive switching penalty. And as Josh Kaufman points out in his book, The Personal MBA, which I highly recommend, by the way, in order to take action, your brain has to load the context of what you're doing into working memory. If you constantly switch the focus of your attention, you're forcing your brain to spend time and effort thrashing, loading and reloading contexts over and over again. That's why it's possible to spend an entire day multitasking, getting nothing done, and feel exhausted at the end. You've burned all of your energy context switching instead of making progress. This is why it's so important to build the ability to focus. If you can do that, you're going to eliminate a lot of these potential cognitive switching penalties you could have incurred from your day. And that means you're going to be able to pack your work into a more concentrated, shorter amount of time and get more done.
I've had lots of bad luck in my life, but I think having bad luck is equally as important. Because when you have bad luck in life, you have to reflect. You have to take the knowledge from that experience. We've all been treated badly. We've all made mistakes. We've all had bad luck. So what we have to do is reflect, take the knowledge from that experience, and then allow it to enrich our life. It's as simple as that. And let's be honest, when people say, do you have any regrets, Marco? I say no. Because had it not been for all those mistakes I made, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have today. I wouldn't have the experience that I have today. Because mistakes are fine as long as you take the knowledge from the mistake.
You must come up with a morning routine that you do every single morning, or at least more mornings than not, that puts you in control of yourself and in control of your day. This is what I do, and I cannot explain the power that I get from starting my day off and being bigger than my excuses and being in control. First and foremost, wake up on time. When that alarm goes off, get your butt out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Why is that important for persistence? The reason why is because the first decision that you're making of the day is to actually get up and get moving. That means you are persistently bigger than your excuses. You are persistently bigger than feeling lazy. And you are persistently beating the feelings that typically stop you. The second thing that I want you to do, before you look at your email, before you answer your phone, before you start surfing Vox and Vice and BuzzFeed and, TeamStream and checking out the sales on Zappos and looking at your Facebook newsfeed, before you pick up the damn phone, please, please, please figure out your 2 priorities for the day. These are the things that matter to you, whether it's saving money and making sure you're focused on that, or showing up at work and being a contributor, or whether it's changing how you treat your spouse or your kids or the person that you're with, or heck, getting to the gym because you said you would. Whatever it is that your 2 priorities are, put them in your head before you pick up the phone. Why? The reason why is because of persistence. The reason why is because I want you to have a good day. Do you know what makes for a bad day? What makes for a bad day is snoozing, starting your day off late, starting your day off tired, starting your day off by mainlining everybody else's news feed on social media and looking at everybody else's life and saying to yourself, oh my God, they're on vacation, or gosh, they look so great, or their friends are so fancy, or my gosh, they've got so money. You start off your day looking at that you're never gonna have a good day. You gotta start off your day by getting up on time, figuring out your priorities, and then getting to work on them. Do not pick up your phone until you have done those 2 things. I think the single biggest reason why people have bad days is because they start them off by looking around at everybody else and seeing what they're doing, instead of having the focus and the discipline to actually start your day off with you in control and with your priorities front and center. So, you want a bonus round? Exercise every day. That's right. Get up on time, figure out your priorities, and exercise. You do those 3 things, you'll be kicking ass every single day.
I continually learn from my mistakes and other people's mistakes. See, entrepreneurs think that, hey, to create that $1 billion company or $100 million company or even $1 million company, you have to be really smart. And sure, brains is part of it. Luck is a huge component. But what I've learned over the years is everyone, no matter how smart you are, you're going to fail many times and you're going to make mistakes. Just look at Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook worked out. His version of Snapchat, that was a copycat, did not work out, right? So there's other areas in which Facebook failed, but Facebook overall as a company has done great. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you're always going to succeed with everything you try or touch. But every time you do something, you will learn new things, you'll make mistakes, and if you learn from these mistakes and avoid making them over and over again, you'll actually increase your odds of succeeding as time goes on. And the best way to do this is not just to learn from your mistakes, but it's also to learn from the mistakes of others. Rockefeller, Carnegie, all these people who are entrepreneurs years ago in the 1800s, 1900s, they themselves use business principles and concepts that are still applicable in today's world. Sure, we have the internet, but the same strategies and concepts that they use are still applicable, right? So learn from their mistakes, learn what worked for them, what didn't work for them, why, and bring that into what you're doing today.
Your environment is so important. And if you look at B performers or C producers, they really don't pay a lot of attention to their environment. And so they get very distracted. There's lots of noises, their phones are going off, maybe there's news in the background, maybe there's messy environments all around them, maybe there's toxic people. What I'm suggesting to you as the second piece of technology to really 100 times your productivity is this. Install environments of tight bubbles of total focus. The way I run my work life, on certain days, I am very hard to reach. And I challenge you with great love and respect, be very hard to reach during key times of your week. I mean, I see a lot of people, and it's not judging them, it's just observing them. Every time their phone rings, they check it. or they have, these loud notifications. So they're constantly being distracted. And we know what the research says. The research says we spend 2.1 hours a day in distraction. And it takes 21 minutes to refocus your focus after you've been distracted. So if you are being distracted by notifications, checking your phone, checking your Twitter feed, checking your Facebook feed, looking on Instagram, checking all the different platforms, that is going to destroy your focus. So the second piece of technology is create these tight bubbles of total focus. And the way I do it is I have certain days that I label as creative days. And on those creative days, I actually go device free. And on those days, I'm very hard to find. And on those days, I'm in total solitude. And on those days, I go to certain places. I call them my Menlo labs, just like Edison had his Menlo lab. And these places are very minimalist, and there's no one there. And that's where I do my best work. So install these tight bubbles of total focus and create these Menlo labs where you're completely distraction free. And then you will find your brain will drop from the beta state into the alpha state, where you will do your best work and get your best idea.
I'm lucky to know a lot of famous people. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jack Welch, Larry Page, Mark Zuckerberg. I know all of them. I would like to share with you that those people, the difference between those people and other people, they are always optimistic for the future. They never complain. They always try to solve the problems of the others. And I think, where is the opportunity? The opportunity always lies in the place where people complain. Some people sit there complain. You think, if I can solve that complaint, that's the opportunity. That's what I did. Don't complain. Let the other people complain. Those people complain, those people who fail. And do not always say, well, I don't have. Think about how you can make things different. Use your own brain to think.
The danger of low expectations. I would rather aim for the stars and not hit them than to not aim at all. I would rather go after it and not get it than not go after it at all. I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. I don't want to live with the idea, wonder what would have happened had I done more with my life. I'm going to go for it, come hell or high water. I'm going after my destiny. Touch your neighbor and say, run. You gotta run after your destiny. You can't stroll after your destiny. You can't walk after your destiny. You gotta run. Somebody holler, run. You gotta run. You gotta run. You gotta run. You can't just wake up in the morning, let me see what's gonna happen today. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna wear. I don't know what I'm gonna cook. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I just woke up. Oh, you should stay in the bed. Give the day to somebody who's gonna run after their destiny. Give the day to somebody who has a plan, who has a strategy, because success is never an accident. And if you don't want it, get out of my way. Because there are some people who want to do something with their life, who will run.
Last thing we have to talk about is improving your sleep environment. And that involves your bed itself, the amount of light in your room, the sounds, the odors, the temperature, a lot of different factors. So we're gonna briefly go through a few of them here, and while we do that, for each one, ask yourself if you could be making any improvements. So first up, let's talk about your pillow. A couple of things about pillows. Number one, you wanna replace yours every couple of years, both because it breaks down over time and gets less supportive, but also because every night you're sleeping on it, you're kind of injecting that pillow with lots of dirt and germs and body odor and stuff that makes it gross, which can make it harder to fall asleep. sleep. Secondly, and this was news to me until just recently, there are different kinds of pillows for different kinds of sleepers. For example, I am a side sleeper, and for years I was just using like the most non-supportive, awful pillows until I learned that a side sleeper probably is gonna need a firmer pillow that has these gussets on the side of it instead of just the two pieces of fabric that are stapled directly together. And after sleeping on this thing for about a week now, I can tell you it is a lot better than the stuff I was using before. When it comes to the temperature in your room, cooler is better. And according to the National Sleep Foundation, the optimal temperature range for sleeping is somewhere between 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. The amount of light in your room, or should I say lack of light, plays a big role as well, because pitch darkness actually plays a big role in melatonin secretion. So if you have a lot of ambient light coming into your room from like a street light outside your apartment, you can pick up a blackout curtain, which will basically eliminate that light altogether. I've actually got one right there that I use for filming. Also, if you happen to fall asleep with the TV on, you should probably try to break that habit because, well, blue light. Now, if you're one of those people who thinks that the TV is soothing and they just can't fall asleep without it, there are some sound-based alternatives. And actually, silence really isn't the optimal solution for all people because silence is so often inconsistent. There's a bump in the night, or there's a voice in the other room, or there's somebody snoring in the same room as you, so having some sound that can block out those inconsistencies can really help you fall asleep. One option you can check out is ambient noise generators, which can generate both white noise, which is basically just consistent noise that sounds a little bit like an air conditioner, and ambient noises like rain and thunder. And for me, my favorite one is Noisely, because you can add as many as you want, you can change the volume of each one, and basically create the perfect mix for you. There's also lots of music out there that's good for falling asleep too. I've made a playlist of my own and found several on Spotify, and I'll link to those down below, but my favorite way to fall asleep is with audiobooks. For me at least, there is nothing better to fall asleep to than spoken word. And in fact, ever since I discovered audiobooks back when I was probably 12 or 13, all the way up until I graduated high school and got a roommate in college, I would fall asleep every single night to either Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card or The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. And as a result, I have huge swaths of both of those books basically memorized.
Here's the belief I'd like you to try on. I don't need an excuse to feel good. What if I don't need an excuse to feel good? I can just feel good for no good reason. How many like this idea? Say I. Now notice when I first said it, you guys are kind of quiet, processing it. Like, I don't need a reason to feel good? Well, how do I know to feel good? Some people see that sounds really naive. Really? Most people don't need a reason to feel bad. How's it going? Feel like crap. How come? Woke up. And people go, I understand. What if you went to somebody and said, how's it going? They go, I feel so great. How come? I don't know. I just feel good. You go, take that guy to the psychiatrist. Right? They're manic. They're crazy. But somebody else who's depressed and angry and frustrated, you think that's totally normal. That's the cultural hypnosis that we've all been in, no matter what country we live in. People come to me all the time, and they'll come to me like this, and they'll go, Mr. Robbins, I don't know what it is. I just feel down all the time. Why do you think I feel that way? Someone say, I feel so up. Why do you think I feel so up all the time? I don't know. Maybe it's your body. People come up to me and they go, Mr. Robbins, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I'm angry all the time. Do you know what it is? Perhaps it's your face. See, do we get in habits of using our body, our face in a certain way over and over again? Yes or no? And those produce our emotion. Once you're in that state, you'll behave in a way that creates more of that emotion. When you're angry, you'll do things that make you more angry. When you're sad, you'll do things that make you more sad. When you're excited, you'll do things that make you more excited. How many follow? Say I. So the secret is to build emotional biceps, emotional fitness, by going in these states over and over again.
The comfort zone is one of the greatest enemies of human potential and of your potential. When people get into a comfort zone, they strive to stay in that comfort zone, even if they're not happy with their situation. Often their whole lives pass them by while they're furnishing and reinforcing their little rut of medium performance. You need the courage to continually move yourself in the direction of your biggest goals and ambitions. You need to be willing to face discomfort in order for you to grow. You need the courage to launch in faith with no guarantees of success. Someone once wrote, if every obstacle must first be overcome, nothing will ever get done. Courageous people are those who have a dream and set a goal. They make a plan and they take the first step with no assurances and no guarantees that their efforts will result in success. However, if you look upon every step forward as a learning experience and every setback as a valuable lesson that has been sent to you to make you stronger and better, you will not be afraid to launch in faith into the unknown. You need the courage to risk failure. You need the courage to endure constant setbacks and disappointments and temporary defeats. You need to learn to deal with failure by realizing that failure is an indispensable prerequisite for success. You can't succeed without failing, and failing lots of times. Remember that wonderful quote from Thomas J. Watson Sr., the founder of IBM? He said, if you want to be successful faster, you must double your rate of failure. He said, success lies on the far side of failure.
You know, if you're coming from a place of that fear of inadequacy, thinking someone's going to leave you, it often comes from a place of you're not giving yourself credit. You know, you do good things, but you don't feel and integrate those into your identity so that you become a stronger, happier, healthier adult. A lot of people, they're actually pretty extraordinary people, but they don't feel extraordinary because all those extraordinary things that happen, they never integrate it. Someone gives them a compliment, they're like, yeah, whatever. They can't hear it. It doesn't penetrate into their identity where they start going, you know what? I'm all right. I am good. I can be confident now. I've achieved enough. I've come far enough. I've survived enough. It's about giving yourself credit and remembering your strengths. You come through such difficult things in your life that you're stronger than you know. So why is that so important? Because you know what? If they do leave you, you'll be fine. And that is the hardest thing to believe when you have this fear of jealousy. They're gonna leave and I might be wrecked. You won't be wrecked. You survived a lot in the past. Someone's probably already left you in your life. Not to be a blamer or making fun of you. It's just true, right? Lots of people have walked out on me. Lots of people have left me. I've had lots of breakups in my life. That happens, and I'm still here. I'm still surviving. I'm still a pretty annoyingly happy dude. Right? You can be happy with or without anybody or anything. You don't need more wealth. You don't need more people. You don't need more higher career. You don't need anything. You can choose in this moment to feel grateful and blessed. You can choose to focus your attention on things that you appreciate, to take in the good again. And if you start taking in those good things that you hear about yourself, if you start taking in those good wins, those small daily actions that you did, when you hit that goal, when you got that project done, when you did what you're supposed to do, when you said something nice, and start feeling stronger about yourself, you stop worrying about other people. And you can start to say, you know what? With or without somebody, I'm fine. Because you know what that makes you? Attractive.
I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. I've viewed myself as, slightly above average in talent. And where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. You can look at the first 6 episodes of the Fresh Prince, and I was so just hell-bent on not failing that I memorized the entire script. And you can see in certain shots, they try to cut around it as much as they can, but I am mouthing the other actors' lines.
Here's what happened. I'm on jury duty. My entire calendar is cleared, right? They give us a very long lunch. What do? I don't sit and chill it out. I don't sit and say, well, I don't have anything scheduled. I email the team. We bang out episode 114 of the Ask Gary Vee show. I email Matt, my assistant. He's hanging out over there. Looks kind of creepy. Looks super suspicious. Anyway, Anyway, Matt's here. So we're gonna go through a bunch of stuff that we have to execute against. I have 2 calls right after I do this video. Phil Toronto from Vayner RC, the fund, is coming and having a meeting that was gonna be at 11:30 p.m. tonight. He's coming to meet me at 1. Basically, what I'm fascinated by is that people like to say they hustle, and I talk about working the whole day, and then I've talked to you guys a lot about, well, it's not about how much you sleep, it's what you do while you're awake, and this is a perfect example of something that I've watched a lot of my contemporaries and a lot of you, the Vayner Nation, right, that say they love to hustle. When something happens, a meeting gets canceled, right, there's a curveball, it's a snow day, right? They take that as vacation time instead of adjusting to it. See, the truth of the matter is, being efficient, executing, shooting for those big goals is predicated on your actions. Do you take an extra long lunch from jury duty to say, you know what, cool, I'm gonna chill and watch YouTube videos? Or do you hustle your face off and try to cram as much in? I'm excited that that's my first thought. Now look, I get it, I'm sitting on a high chair right now and talking down to like, you should do this. I'm really not telling you what you should do. I'm really not trying to be a guru. I'm not really trying to be too cool and say, ha ha ha, look at me, not you. I'm really not. I'm really just making these videos, not for the people that you find this condescending, not for the people that find it motivational. I'm making this video for the people that are full of shit, right? The ones that tell me to my face every day that yeah, and really want it and don't recognize the actions that it takes to get there. So I'm making this video for a very small percentage of you. To the left, look, Gary thinks he's so cool. To the right, that's the best ever, complete blindness. No, the middle, my friends. So many of you that actually want this, have the skills to do this, right? And sometimes once in a while, just need to see a different version of it to understand, right? To me, this is an video, right? Did you mail it in? Did you mail in that 15-minute call got canceled? You had a packed day, 15-hour day. It got canceled. What are you doing in that 15 minutes? And by the way, sometimes those 15 minutes are absolutely worth calling your mom, calling your daughter, FaceTime with your kids. But it's just making every minute count. Every minute has to count. Every minute has to count if you want so much, because you just don't have as many of them as you think. You just don't.
I've got a sort of 5-point plan that anyone can follow to get over stress and trauma in their lives. Talk me through it.
Well, I think, first of all, I want to make one thing clear. The quality of your life is the quality of where you live emotionally. Like, we all have a home. Angry people find a way to get angry, even if their life doesn't have anything to be angry about. We can always find it. Sad people find a way to be sad. Caring people find a way to care for other people. So one thing you got to identify is, where are you living? What's your home? What's your habit? And then the way to change it is, when I was homeless, literally on my own, just getting started, I didn't have the internet, but I decided I had to go to a library and I had to feed my mind. And I always tell people the first stage is, weeds grow automatically. One of my teachers taught me, he said, every day stand guard at the door of your mind and feed it something good. Because if your worst enemy puts sugar in your coffee here, you're fine. If your best friend by accident trying to help you put some strychnine, you're dead. So if you feed your mind every day, 30 minutes a day of reading something, hearing something. Second, you got to strengthen your body. And the reason, Pierce, is fear is physical, right? So is stagnation, so is numbness, so is sadness, so is rage. And when you go in and change your body by an intense workout or a run or even an intense walk and the blood's flowing through you, science has shown it instantly changes your biochemistry. And now your mind and body are working together. Third thing, all these people did in common, if you watch, they found a mission bigger than themselves. Yeah. Something that they wanted to aspire to that was worth more than their pain. And then the fourth thing is, you got to find a role model. You heard it with Nick. Almost everybody finds a role model that makes it real. I was with Warren Buffett and with Sarah Blakely, the youngest billionaire. We did this roundtable about the future. And when you listen to this woman, and when women meet her, they don't just love Spanx, her product that made her a billionaire. They love this woman because she's a role model of what's possible. Yeah. When you get a role model, it becomes real to you if you get a plan, you get a goal plan, and you take massive action. And the last step, number 5, there's always somebody worse off than you are. I don't care what you've done. So if you can go help somebody worse off, it puts your life in perspective, and it also reminds you life's not about me, it's about we. I always tell people, the secret to a great life, the secret to living is giving. And when you realize there's something in you still to give, even if you lost your legs, even if you've been through a horrific financial situation, your life can improve, but more importantly, you'll have a meaningful life.
Choice. Your common sense will tell you. When you believe you have a sense of autonomy, a sense of choice in what you're doing, you feel more self-motivated. B.F. Skinner taught us that too. In his book, Beyond Freedom and Dignity, way back in 1971, reading that book changed my life because I realized that I am controlled by consequences. But sometimes I don't feel controlled. When I'm working for a pleasant consequence, it feels good. It feels like I'm working to get something. When I'm working to avoid an aversive consequence, I feel controlled. That's called negative reinforcement. So here's a challenge, leaders. How do we get people to become success seekers rather than failure avoiders? First day of introductory psychology class. I teach 2 classes of 600 students. Maybe some of you have been in that class. And remember, the first day I say, how many are here to avoid failure? And 80% raise your hand. And I say, well, thanks for coming. I know you're motivated, but you're not happy campers. You probably told your friends, I got to go to class. It's a requirement. Not I get to go to class, it's an opportunity. You probably woke up to an alarm clock, not an opportunity clock. And it's all in how you see it. Really, it's all in how you see it. It's your paradigm. It's how you communicate to others and how you communicate to yourself. So, Ellen Langer said in her book, Mindfulness, she said, and psychologists know, when you perceive choice, you perceive motivation. You're more motivated. So the deal is, for yourself, sit back and reflect. Be mindful of the choices you have. And talk about being a success seeker rather than a failure avoider. It's all how you talk, how you communicate to yourself and to others.
The hard work involved. I mean, if you want to have like a casual life and you don't want to be in a band, I mean, you never sleep. It's really, really hard work, you know, and you're exhausted all the time and you're almost always sick and you're fighting with your business partners all day long, and it's just how it is. But I have a very, very strong work ethic because I had nothing when I was a kid. Nothing. I'd been working at my first job when I was 13. I had 2 jobs when I was 16, you know, and but I think it's a lot of it's probably because I'm extraordinarily fearful about having to do what someone tells me to do. So I'd rather be doing everything because at least no one's telling me to do that.
So one of the best ways to stop worrying and start living is to take things one day at a time. Forget what's happened in the past that you cannot change, and don't worry about what might happen in the future. 99% of the things that you worry about will never occur. You can always use the worry buster formula to clear your mind. If there's a problem in your life that is causing you to worry, remember that most things you worry about never happen anyway. There are 4 steps to applying the worry buster to your situation to help you stop worrying completely. Number 1, define your problem clearly. Accurate diagnosis is half the cure. What exactly are you worrying about? Write it down if you possibly can. Number 2 is ask yourself, what is the worst possible outcome of this situation? I call this a WPO analysis, worst possible outcome. Some people call it filling out the disaster report. What is the worst? And think about what exactly could happen if this situation did occur. Step number 3 is resolve to accept the worst possible outcome should it occur. Whatever might happen, decide that you will be able to live with it. It won't kill you. Take it one day at a time. Now you've found out how to stop worrying. And finally, begin immediately to make sure that the worst possible outcome does not occur. Think of all the creative things you could do to minimize the worst possible occurrence. Pretty soon you'll be thinking positively and creatively again, and you'll be back in control of your life.